Hi, I'm Julie Getz, and I am a new mission partner here at Parkside. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about me and my family. I am married to Jake, and we have 4 kids. We have 2 biological daughters, and we have 2 foster sons. About 10 years ago, God placed a desire on our heart to love on orphan and vulnerable kids. And it started with a desire to reach that group of kids internationally, and then as God opened our eyes to vulnerable kids in our community, we started the foster care journey. When we became foster parents, it was clear that the kids in our home, their parents, were also involved in foster care at some point in their childhood. And we noticed this cycle that was taking place, that youth who were involved in foster care then became adults and tended to repeat the cycle. And I felt passionate about breaking that cycle and reaching into parents' and kids' lives more deeply. And so I chose to go back to school and get a degree in social work. So while I was in school, I heard that Back to Back Ministries was launching a Cincinnati initiative, and I was familiar with Back to Back. I traveled to India with them about 4 years ago. So while I was in India, I saw firsthand how deeply Back to Back invests in the caregivers and the youth, and their amazing understanding of trauma and how it impacts the youth in the best ways to come alongside. So when I saw that Back to Back was launching a Cincinnati initiative, and I knew all of the needs here in our community, I was immediately excited to hear more. And then I found out that they were looking for a social worker for their team. And so through prayer and journaling and lots of conversation, I felt convicted that the Lord was calling me to serve with Back to Back as my next step in this journey. Back to Back has been around for over 20 years and has sites in 5 different countries around the world. They serve the orphan and vulnerable youth so that they can become sustainable and developed adults. And I love their model that they really strive for 3 things for these youth: that these youth become dependent on Jesus, interdependent in their community, and then economically independent in adulthood. Back to Back Ministries chose Cincinnati to be their first U.S. site because, unfortunately, Cincinnati has one of the highest rates of childhood poverty of any city in the country. And as a lot of us know, the foster care system is exploding, and we are in kind of a state of crisis here. So Back to Back has started looking at like-minded organizations that they can partner alongside here in Cincinnati and deepen their investment in the lives of vulnerable youth in the city. Through my experience with my internships, I saw and got to know youth who are in the foster care system about to emancipate, which means they age out and they become independent at 18, 19 years old. And what I learned in my interactions with them is that they lacked healthy, consistent adult relationships in their life. They did not know a lot, and they did not have a guide. And part of my journey with Back to Back is creating an onboarding ramp for families to come alongside these vulnerable youth in our city to be their guide. My dream is to significantly reduce the numbers of kids in the foster care system, to get ahead of the foster care system. I have seen how the system is part of the solution, but it is not the answer, and how the Lord and His people are. So I am so grateful for Parkside and how they have partnered alongside me as Back to Back forges this new path in Cincinnati. Thank you, Parkside, for your generosity toward local missions like Back to Back Ministries. I'm Julie Getz, and I am grateful to be building strong families with Parkside.